Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. This tree that I've been exploring, certain branches we've left and to pursue some other branch, and sometimes we come back to that original branch. So in this video, I'm going back to the Arctic. I want to share several things more in the cold and the northern parts and southern part, which we haven't visited, with you. So I'll start. I want to start with the iconic polar bear, and I've got some examples. I've got some examples for teenagers, for adults, for 9 and 10-year-olds. So I'm going to start here. I've shown you this book before. I really enjoyed this book by Ted Sayles, S-A-Y-L-E-S, and Mary Stevens. It's called Throw Stone, the First American Boy. And it's their adventures as they are actually traveling toward the south. And there's a chapter in here called The Hunt. And they have encountered a polar bear. And it's not light enough for them to fully distinguish the polar bear, but they know it is there. And the father says to the son that he will walk in a circle around, and hopefully at some point their eye contact with each other will be broken by the polar bear, which they can't quite see. Quite a story. Now, these two books I haven't shared before. Arthur Roth. This is a story that of a true sailing and a true ship that ends up crashing, and the character that was up in the crow's nest, calling out the warning, gets thrown from the ship. The ship ends up sinking with all their lives lost. He returns 7 years or so later from an amazing series of experiences. One of them involved him being befriended by a polar bear, maybe because of the polar bear skin that he had draped around his shoulders and all, might have made a difference, but it is not a oppositional encounter. Now, no one's sure that all the things that he tells is true. There's no way of knowing, but they could be possibly true. He did return alive to tell his story. Now, this is Ice Drift by Theodore Taylor. He wrote a survival story called The K, which I read with my class 4-5s or 5-6, and it's an amazing survival story. This is also a survival story. It involves Inuit and, to some degree, polar bear. this book is devoted completely to looking at the plight of the polar bear on thin ice, which is, I think, really appropriate title because that's what's happening. The ice, thickness of the ice is diminishing. What used to hold and be able to walk on sometimes breaks off. Life for the polar bear has become even more precarious than before. Caused by changing world of by climate change. Richard Ellis wrote it, and it's for adults. It's documented like all his books are, very, very detailed bibliography, fascinating afterword. The role of coincidence plays a part. Chance plays a part in this book as well. But the main thrust is factual. He has written books on all kinds of marine life. This is one that I've showed you earlier, The Empty Ocean, and in this he covers a great cast from whales, stellars, sea otters, sea lions, seals, the tuna porpoise problem, what's killing the coral reefs, plight of the sea turtles, marine birds, and the decline of the fisheries, including the mighty swordfish and the great and wonderful tuna. There's not a lot of humor, but it certainly delineates the situation. There is humor. Sometimes, yeah, there is humor in Young Larry by Daniel Pinkwater. Daniel Pinkwater's written lots of books for, picture books for younger, some for 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds, some for 16, 15, 18-year-olds. And sometimes he's illustrated his books. This case, his wife, Jill Pinkwater, illustrated this series of 5 stories. And I think she did a great job. She is a novelist as well. So she could write novels and illustrate. He can write novels and illustrate. Quite a pair. Young Larry. At the hotel, Larry. They're on an ice floe. They come drifting down and they end up in New Jersey. He wrote a number of stories that take place in Hoboken. Sleepover Larry. Bongo Larry. And Dancing Larry. They're wacky enough that I think 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11s might enjoy. Well, thanks for joining me. Until next time, bye for now.